After just over a year, part 4 of Planet Zoo DLC ideas is now here. In today's video we're going to be looking at more species than ever before. You might be expecting me to be running out of ideas as it's part 4, but there's millions of species in the world and I can cover pretty much all of them, even the bacteria. So without further ado, let's see what my DLC ideas are for the 4th entry. Of course, my apologies in advance at how bad I was at drawing the borders of each section, but this is our first pack, the Tropical Animal Pack. As you can see, we've got quite a variety of habitat, walkthrough and exhibit animals. For this we're going to be going anti-clockwise. So as you can see, we've got the habitat animals. This is the agouti. Underneath it we've got the tamandua, which is a type of anteater, and the Orinoco crocodile. Underneath that you can see we have the sloth. There are many different species of sloths, so you can choose which one. For the walkthrough animals we have the blue macaw and the toko toucan, two very well known rainforest birds. Then still going anti-clockwise we have the tree wetter, a type of insect that lives in New Zealand. Going up from there we have the giant Amazonian ant and the cane toad, which are both the biggest members of their own groups, ants and toads. Above that we have the leaf cutter ants, quite small but quite well known as well. And we have the tuatara, which is the last member of its reptile group. Surprisingly it's not a lizard. Staying on our topic of mainly tropical, we now have the bird pack. Quick disclaimer, we're only doing animals that can be added currently. Like, we're not going to add new things to the game, like, oh let's add an aviary, let's add a special type exhibit for. We're just sticking to what we have. So we have walkthrough exhibits and habitat exhibits. For the walkthrough we have the scarlet macaw, which fights with the blue macaw for most well-known macaw. Underneath that we have the rainbow lorikeet and the sulphur crested cockatoo, which are both very well-known tropical birds. After that we have the habitat animals, possibly one of, if not the most iconic habitat animal bird in a zoo, the grey-crowned crane from Uganda. The kakapo is next, which is very weird because it's a type of parrot which is flightless. They are critically endangered, so adding these in the zoo game is quite important. Let's fade out of the tropical a little bit, let's go into the reptile pack. For our walkthrough reptile we have something quite interesting. I'm going to do a shout out to one of my mates, Leo the Utai, because if I remember correctly he has some of these sulcata tortoises. They're the 3rd largest tortoises in the world, other than the 2 we already have in the game. They're also well known as African spurred tortoises or Saharan tortoises. I feel like it's a bit unique to have them as a walkthrough animal, not habitat like the other tortoises. I've actually seen quite a few sulcatas at zoos, and I remember petting a baby one. In the exhibits we have the bearded dragon and the royal python, 2 animals which I actually have as pets. You may know them as George, the bearded dragon. I've got one for the snake yet. Now loads of people have been requesting these animals, this isn't just bias. For the habitat we surprisingly have a lot, including the water monitor, the parenti, the green anaconda and Chinese alligator. The green anaconda is probably the least likely to be added in because it would involve having to create an entirely new model, entirely new set of animations just for an anaconda. I do think that the others have a slight chance of getting in. You're probably wondering why there are a load of tropical themed DLCs. Well, that's because the next DLC is coming up very soon and they tend to be tropical. So that's why it makes sense to have our last DLC be Antarctica. Our habitat animals are going to be the southern elephant seal, the walrus, the macaroni penguin and leopard seals. We don't have an exhibit animal because I can't really add one without changing it to be completely water only. Did you know that the largest exclusively land only animal in Antarctica is the size of the thickness of a coin, 2mm? As you can see we actually have a scenery theme for this, which are science lab sets. So this means we're going to have a load of triangles, like very sciencey looking stuff. In fact we maybe have a new design for a solar panel, one that attaches to wall and is like diamond shaped, as you can see on the picture.